Oh, yes. Yes, that will do. That will win the contest. Yes, I can make that. Oh, hi there. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video, we're discussing the first book in the Agatha Raisin series that's written by MC Beaton. The book's called The Quiche of Death. So this book is a reread for me. I'm planning to read the whole Agatha Raisin series, but I must say, in this reread, I like this book even more than the first time I read it. And I just got to like the Agatha character all over again. It was like meeting Agatha again for the first time. Agatha's already sold her PR business and her house in London, and she's already bought a house in Carsley, which is a village in the Cotswolds. She's so keen to move there. Ever since a young girl, when she went there on a family holiday, she's wanted to retire and live in the Cotswolds. So that's what she's done, and she's in a time of her life where she can enjoy early retirement. When she first moves, she thinks it's going to be wonderful. She's going to fall in love with the village, she'll meet new friends, village life will be wonderful, it'll be the best thing that ever happened to her. It doesn't take long for her to realise, this may not have been the best choice. And she starts to doubt herself, and even through the novel, there's moments already where she wants to sell and go back to London, but she changes her mind a bit as that goes on. Trying to make friends in the village for Agatha is very hard because she's never been one to make friends in her life up to this point. She's always been a bit of a outsider, bullying people in the PR business, bullying journalists, bullying clients. So she's never really made friends, as it were. To try to make friends, she thinks the simplest way is to enter the quiche cooking contest. And that's the reason I was looking at my recipe book at the start of this video. But in true Agatha fashion, she wants to win. Winning's everything to her, and she thinks by winning, the people in the village will look up to her, will adore her. So she jets off to London, buys a quiche, and cheats by entering that quiche into the contest. After the contest, the judge of the cooking contest ends up dying, and it's suspected that he's been poisoned. Agatha is a suspect because the quiche that he was eating that day was hers. So that's where I'll leave with the plot, because I don't want to go too much into the plot now, even though Agatha Raisin books have been around for a while and so many people have read them. I don't know who's going to watch this video, so if you haven't read this series, I'll leave the plot there. Let's just say that the rest of the book is Agatha a suspect? Is she not? If she's not, who else could have poisoned the judge of the cooking contest? And it also delves a bit into the village life. So you meet a few of the other characters, like Mrs. Bloxby, who's the vicar's wife, and we meet Agatha's neighbour, Mrs. Barr, who Agatha hates, and Mrs. Barr also hates Agatha, so it's mutual. The reason Mrs. Barr hates Agatha is because Agatha steals Mrs. Barr's cleaner, and cleaners are like gold in the Cotswolds, a good cleaner anyway. If you steal someone's good cleaner away, it's the worst crime people can think of in the village. But in the plot also, we get to meet more of Roy, who's somebody who used to work for Agatha in her PR business. And Agatha never really thought of Roy as a friend per se, but she's so desperate for people to come and visit, to have people around her that are familiar, she invites Roy and one of Roy's friends, Steve, to visit for a long weekend. And when they do, they kind of encourage her a bit to investigate more in this case. She's almost egged on by Roy and Steve, and because of that, she finds herself in more hilarious situations. Whatever she does, things go wrong, and it just makes for a really light-hearted and really fun read. The key component of these books is fun. Even though there are serious crimes, someone's been poisoned, the village life, Agatha, the way she views the world and the way she just goes about doing things, being a bit loud, being a bit bossy, trying to bully her way through things sometimes. It's those kind of things and her thoughts and the things she says to people that make this a really fun read. First off, of course, is Agatha Raisin. I think this is a brilliant character. And MC Beaton was really clever in the way this character was created. Just her acerbic wit. Just that is the first thing you notice about Agatha Raisin. Even in the first few pages of this book, it's there. It's so prominent. She's also got different sides to her as well. So when she goes to the Cotswolds and she's a bit lonely, we see that vulnerable side. She's not someone that would come across as needing company, needing people around her, but she does. And then that forces her also to try to be friendly with some people in the village, hence the reason she joins that contest in the first place. But after the failure of the contest, and she does cheat and people find out, she's then forced to try to find friends a different way. So she creates this whole auction, gets everyone in the village involved, gets a band, gets signs put up, gets tourists coming in because of the signs, gets newspapers involved, makes a fortune for a charity. But then in her good nature side, she lets Roy, the person who used to work for her, take the credit for the whole sale. On her nasty side, sometimes she feels a bit jealous when other people get all the attention. And in this book we see that come out just a little bit, not too much. But, she doesn't like her neighbour, so that's also her nasty side, stealing that cleaner away. And that conflict between her and the neighbour, it seems she takes pleasure in having that conflict and saying nasty things to the neighbour, getting that last word in. We see that a couple of times as well. But that's also done in a way where it's also a bit comical, so we don't mind so much as readers. We still stay on the side of Agatha during those moments. Roy, he's a bit fun as well, but he also gets a little bit annoying, and I saw that at least once in this novel, in a restaurant scene where he falls over laughing on the floor and rolls on the floor laughing. It's not the way an adult would act, and even in this novel, it's over the top. It's too much. And he's a bit of a user, so he contacts Agatha when he wants something and when he wants help with a client because he can't come up with the ideas himself, or he thinks he's going to get publicity from Agatha when Agatha does something good in the village or something big. So he comes across as a bit of a user. He's fun, he's lively, he's colourful, but there's that other side which I don't really like that much. Bill Wong. Bill is a policeman in the area. He comes across as very clever but also very friendly. He befriends Agatha quite quickly, and you see him popping in a few times just to see how Agatha is and say hello, and even brings her a kitten in this novel as a pet, as a gift. And he wants her to stay in the village, and I find Bill a really good character, a really nice character. He's very gentle, and I think he makes a great addition in this series. And in this novel, it's a great introduction to him as well. Mrs. Bloxby, who I've mentioned a couple of times already in the video, she's the vicar's wife. She's also very nice, very caring, and there's a moment where she comes and stays with Agatha because something happens, and we get a sense that she mothers the village a bit, and she just genuinely likes people. So that's a really good side to Mrs. Bloxby. She comes across as very meek, very mild, but she has a bit of a steel spine that we see glimpses of in this book. So we get the sense that even though she's that meek vicar's wife, if people try to get the wrong side of her, she's going to get that steel spine and dig her heels in and be really firm. So she's going to be a bit of a fun character in this series, but in this book, she's just introduced and we don't see that fun side so much. So James Lacey, he appears in the last third of this novel and he buys the cottage next to Agatha's. And remember Mrs. Barr, the feud between Agatha and Mrs. Barr. So Mrs. Barr ends up selling a cottage. So James Lacey buys the cottage, and we only get a brief sense of what he's going to be like. So straight up, we find out he's a bachelor. He was in the army, but he doesn't use his title. People in the village, the women, think he's good looking, and they all seem to want to get to know him or grab him for their own. So we get a glimpse and a hint that they're dropping off cakes and casseroles, etc. to James. Agatha seems a little bit interested at the start, but she's got things going on, so she doesn't pay too much attention. It's only at the end of the novel we get a sense that she's really interested. But by that stage, we don't know what's going to happen between both of them. Kind of get a sense that maybe Agatha will try to approach James in the future. And the two of them are quite funny throughout this series, but there's more about that in future novels. This novel is a great introduction to Agatha, to Carsley, the village, and just a great first novel in this series. When I first read this book the first time, I didn't know what to expect. I'd heard of the TV show and I'd never seen it, and that got me interested into the novels. So I hadn't read any of the novels before that. I'd read a couple of the Hamish Macbeth novels before Agatha Raisin, but I wanted to give Agatha Raisin a go. And when I did, I just loved this book, and that made me then go on and read the rest of the series. So for this book, I do rate it a 5 out of 5 because I think it was just brilliantly written as the perfect introduction to a series and as a perfect hook to get you interested in a character straight away. I will review every book in this series, and they're all going to be rereads for me. But with the reread, I'm hoping there'll be things there that I didn't fully appreciate the first time, or maybe I'll see in a different light. So I'm hoping that happens for me in these rereads, and I will be sharing each reread in a video review.